2022 has finally arrived, if we were waiting for it. So Happy New Year, as I neglected to say before. Happy New Year to everybody. A healthy New Year to the planet. That's what we want. That's what I intend anyway. One of my intentions. We welcomed the New Year last week when we did a visioning. We did a visioning for our own personal intention for this brand new year. As I was telling someone, I don't set goals because I always sabotage them. So I set intentions. I set broad intentions, and then every day when I get up and after my meditation, I set an intention for the day. So today and every Sunday this month, we're looking at ways of being, ways of showing up in this world that will assist in the individual and the collective upward revolution around the spiral of evolution. So today's service is about evolution and what that means for us personally. I want to begin our time together this day in a way that I often end it. It's a little meditation, but I want to set the tone for the entire month of January, and really for the entire year, not just a month, by taking a mental journey. Would you like to join me in taking a mental journey? And what better time to do this than the first Sunday of the year? So I'd invite you to close your eyes with me. I'm going to keep mine open, but close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And we're going to engage in 3 ohms. I don't usually do this, but we're going to say out loud Om together 3 times just to get us really centered, okay? So let's do it. Om. In your mind's eye, a calendar. You know the kind that sits on top of a desk, small ones, they're about 4 by 4, and they have the whole entire month on each piece. See the month of January 2022. Then tear it off. Then see and turn off February of 2022. Then March, and keep going until you reach January of 2023. And leave that sheet on the calendar. You are now in January of 2023. And you and all of humanity have taken one upward revolution around the evolutionary spiral. You have a greater awareness of who you are. You have a greater understanding of how life works. You have an expanded consciousness, and you are living in harmony with the greater good that is always available. So breathe that in. And from this perspective, take a look at your outer life. Get images of your circumstances, your situations, the world you live in. yourself, living the life you desire to live in the world that you desire to live in January 2023. Get a good, vivid picture of it. Loving relationships, physical well-being, radiant health, financial abundance, living on purpose. Who are you and what are you doing? Now go inside and check out your internal landscape. Notice how you feel right now about yourself. Now, what does the larger world around you look like? Now that all of humanity has evolved in this January of 2023, a year from now. What does the world look like? How are we relating to one another? Get a sense of that. Take a couple of deep breaths. And now see your calendar pages returning to their original order. So December 22 returns, November 22, October, all are back. And so take a few moments to reground yourself in this room, right here, January of 2023. 22, I'm still there. Just bring yourself back into this here and now. I was enjoying it there. How many of you saw a better world? Okay. How many of you saw having a hand, that you would have a hand in this better world? This month, there's a reason for that. It's really great. It's really great. And it gives us hope. It gives us that optimistic uplift that we really could use all of the time. This month was setting the course for that evolved future. Today and every Sunday this month, we're going to look at ways of being, ways of showing up in the world that will cause us individually and collectively to take an upward revolution around the spiral of evolution, so that we become co-creators of the future you just envisioned. You are here right now, today, on the ground floor, the beginning. In the foreword to Andrew Cohen's book, Evolutionary Enlightenment, Deepak Chopra wrote this in the foreword. There has never been a better time to be enlightened. And I will add to that concept, there has never been a better time to be a catalyst for the enlightenment of humanity. We're all here for a reason. There are no accidents. I truly believe that. There are no accidents in this universe. And that's a pretty big statement that I made, and I believe it. But sometimes that brings things up for people. And it's okay to be daunted. It's okay to maybe feel a little uncomfortable or even scared. I love this phrase. If your goal does not cause you to shake in your boots, it's not big enough. Though I'm kind of over shaking in my boots, but every once in a while these things come along, and they opportunities, or whatever you want to call them, guidance, and we got to step out of our comfort zone. And when we do that, sometimes that comfort zone we want to cling to. We don't want to leave it, but have that intention to evolve, whatever that shows up as in your life. And I don't mean for us to live in fear, because that's one thing we do not, most definitely don't want. But rather, that means that we are so much more than we think we are. We truly are. And we can add so much more than we think we can on this planet at this time. So we want our dreams and our goals to stretch us. It should always stretch us a little into our greater selves. That might be a little, as I said, daunting. If it isn't, we aren't stretching quite enough. So here's the deal. We're either going to be part of humanity's problem or part of humanity's solution. You get to choose that. Problem, solution. We get to choose. I want to be part of the solution. I always want to be part of the solution. And obviously, so do you, because that's what you saw in your imagery. We all saw ourselves evolving. We all felt a whole different sense of being in our planet in 2023. Individually and collectively, we want to be part of the solution. So this month, we're going to take a very big picture look at our role, because we all have roles, and our role in our evolutionary consciousness, and what it has on the evolution of humanity. You know, it starts, and we hear this, but it's true, one consciousness at a time. And it can only begin with you. It can't begin with anyone else at any other time, but now, the present. In Evolutionary Enlightenment, Andrew Cohen writes, the very desire to embark on a path of enlightenment is already the beginning of enlightenment, because the path and the goal are one. The path and the goal are one. This statement echoes the scripture. Before they call, I will answer. Or Ernest Holmes in The Science of Mind. We had a beautiful reading today, and it goes perfectly with this. We come to understand then that the answer to prayer is in the prayer when it is prayed. The belief of one praying sets in motion the law of love, which is the fundamental law of the universe. The law of love. What we think, we are creating. So do that mind check I talk about. What are we thinking about in any given moment? Inherent in the desire to evolve is the ability to evolve. Inherent in the impulse to go to a higher and deeper level of understanding of who we are, how life really works, and what in life really matters is a higher and deeper understanding. If we weren't already there, we wouldn't desire it. We can't picture something in our minds, as we just did in that meditation, if it didn't already exist in consciousness. That's the way it works. That's the truth. We do not live in a world where God dangles a carrot in front of us and says, I want you to desire this, but there's no way you can experience it. You can desire it, but you can't experience it. That doesn't exist. No way, we have to say to that. It doesn't work like that. Before they pray, I will answer. So the answer is in the prayer already. It's the seed going into the soil that will become the plant of our desire. We have to think it. We have to want it. And through prayer, through intention, however you do it, you're setting the law of God into action. So how cool is that, really? To know that the desire you have in your heart to be the person you envisioned a few minutes ago, living in a world that you envisioned a few minutes ago as already existing. That's the knowing. That's the knowing. That's how powerful we truly are. This month we're going to talk about our conscious decision to walk the talk. And let's not just talk about our desire to evolve, but to walk the path of evolution. Cohen writes this in his book. We have within us an evolutionary impulse to move forward. That impulse is the same uninhibited impulse that burst forth in the Big Bang. When that impulse is expressed at the highest level of consciousness, it is the inspiration that pulls us towards spiritual liberation and enlightenment. Spiritual liberation, that impulse within us, that thing within us that already knows what it is we would like to experience. Right now. Right now, because the law doesn't know the difference between the future and the past. It only knows the present. So imagination and visioning and meditation is one of the most powerful tools that we could have, because it is activating the law right now. We can't activate the law in the present. We can't activate the law in the past. We can only do it now. In the future, in the past, we can only do it now. So Cohen talks about 5 tenets of evolutionary enlightenment. And today we're going to explore the first one. Clarity of intention. Clarity is one of the most important qualities we could ever possess. And this is what he writes. What do I mean by clarity of intention in this context? As good spiritual students, we know the power of intention. And we know that we must be clear. Clear in the intention in order for it to manifest. We can't set our intention and then be distracted all over the place and expect the intention to manifest itself in our world. So we know the power of the clarity of intention. We talked about that last week. But this tenet is not speaking to the clarity of just any intention. It is talking about the clarity of a very, very specific intention. The intention to evolve. Clarity of intention to respond to the evolutionary impulse to take that upward turn in the spiral of beingness. Because everything moves in spirals. I'm sure that your workshop that we will be experiencing in January will speak to this whole aspect of energy and how we do move in spirals. When we closed our eyes earlier, we focused upon our own desires for our own experiences from now, a year from now. Did anyone imagine a life worse than they are living right now? The spiritual impulse as it is moving through you, is always moving in a positive manner. It always does. All it ever wants is for you to move forward. Ernest Holmes was so clear in his Science of Mind book. We are meant to spiral upward and onward. That's why he didn't believe in reincarnation the way we see it, because, I don't want to get into that, but he thought it was too limiting, that we spiral with our memories of a lot of things, our personality that we came in this planet with, but we spiral upwards. We move to the infinite, limitless of the many different, what is it, just so Spider-Man, multi-universes, what is that? What is that?
Multiverse.
Multiverse.
Metaverse.
There's many multiverses, yes. So part of our interest in this spiritual evolution comes from within us. It is a natural place within. You see, children are always reaching forward to do more, to learn more. They don't just sit still with the status quo. They want to learn, they want to do. Setting your intention on your own innate desire to evolve will allow you to see, maybe for the first time, maybe the difference between your authentic self, that divine self, for the spiritual evolution, and your ego's conditioned hesitation or stubbornness, that refusal to let things go and let them always be the way they've been. Let me give you some warning signs that are in the book. And 5 warning signs that suggest that the ego, you can check this for yourself, the ego's limited perspective and desire to stay where you are rather than your intention to evolve. Number 1, being overly concerned how you appear to others. I know quite a few people have that ego voice going. How often are we motivated by wanting to look a certain way in someone else's eyes? Do we do things and say things that are actually don't really resonate with, but we do it so that people would like and accept us. That loving no comes in handy sometimes. This is coming from a place in us that doesn't think we are already okay, that we are already divine. We are, each and every one of us, divine beings, each and every one of us. And that place, my friends, is pure ego. Because when we are connected to Source with our authentic self, with our true God nature, we are not concerned. We are not concerned about other people's opinion. As I say, what you think about me is none of my business. Truly, it's the truth. We know who we are, and we can stand firm on it. So our first touchstone, if you will, for seeing is, if you are knocked off your clarity of intention to evolve, is being overly concerned with what others think about you. That brings us to number 2, easily offended. No matter what the topic, no matter how justified you may feel in being offended, the feeling is a feeling of separation, a feeling of division, and a feeling that comes from ego. It doesn't feel good. If it doesn't feel good, you can basically know it's coming from our egoic self. We all have one. We all have this. I mean, we're having a human experience. We all have an ego. It's not coming from our authentic self. The authentic self will discern and have preferences. Yes, it does. It gives me guidance. I'm sure it gives a lot of us that divine guidance. But absolutely it does. But it will do it lovingly. You will feel it. It might not feel comfortable, but you will feel it. And if you listen to it, it's usually for your highest good. And it will not be offended. Our divine self cannot be offended in any way, shape, or form. So if you are offended by anything, You are not supporting your own evolution or the evolution of mankind. These are ways to see when we're knocked off of that clarity. Number 3, you believe my way is the right way. I don't need to say any more. Those of us who tend to have control issues slightly will know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's all I got to say about number 3. Number 4, constantly comparing yourself to others. It's okay to be inspired by others. It's okay to have mentors and guides, role models. That's great because they're inspirational. We learn from our mentors and our guides. We learn. And they might have more spiritual insight than we, so we learn from that. But when we start comparing ourselves, we come up short. And that's what we don't want to do. There's only one of each one of us, right? God does not repeat itself. There's only one of each one. We can't be anyone else anyway. But the ego thinks that this person's got it better, this is what I want, that whole thing. And it feels like complete division. So, finally, you have then the 4th way of stepping out of that intention to evolve when that is in operation. So just check yourself. You can choose differently. You can see the lesson in it. And that brings us into 5. You dwell in low energy emotions. Emotions such as anger, sadness, grief, depression, regret, etc. And notice I didn't say that you stepped off your clarity intentional path if you have these low energy emotions, because everyone has these emotions. We have to acknowledge that. We are having a human experience. We all have those. It's part of that human experience that we're having. And I say this so often because it's so true. When you're going through hell, don't stop and build a condo. You keep moving. We go through all the stages of whatever we're going through. We go through them, we honor them, and we keep moving forward. We don't want to get stuck in those low energy emotions. What is our normal state is that joy, that peace, that happiness, that feeling alive. That is our divine state. There you have 5 tangible, powerful ways for us to get in touch with and to check in to see if we have gotten off of track. When we see that we can lovingly and gently move ourselves back in. Just take that breath and move ourselves right back in and get right back on track. No one's keeping score. I receive daily inspirations online from Reverend Mary Morrissey, and the last one was how important it is for us to really set our clearest intentions. Jesus said, ask, seek, and knock. Those are intentions, to ask, seek, and knock. Our intentions on our part. The universe opens. The universe responds. The universe arranges. We can trust this day that if we do our part, the universe, which to me is God, delights in doing its part. But we have to knock first. Nothing opens if we don't knock. But for now, let's just go back. We're almost finished. Let's go back to where we started this morning. Just for a moment, just close your eyes again, briefly. And if you can bring back the vision of what you saw in January of 2023, get an image of it again. See it again. And set the mental equivalent of it. That means the mind picture. See the mind picture. So let us commit this morning to the clarity of this intention. the intention to evolve in this way. In this commitment to your own evolution, you may well experience a surge of liberating confidence, a sense of empowerment, and a high resolve to bring forth the reality. And let us commit this morning to keeping fresh within our consciousness this moment of high resolve. And so I'm just going to close with this paragraph from Howard Thurman in his The Inward Journey, that great reading. In the quietness of this place, surrounded by the all-pervading presence of God, my heart whispers, keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve, that in fair weather or in tempest, in good times or in bad, in the days when the darkness and the foe are nameless or familiar, I may not forget that to which my life is committed. Keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve. So keep forward and keep fresh within each and every one of us those moments of that high resolve, whatever it was. Be a catalyst. Be the catalyst for humankind, because humankind needs more light beings. It needs more people to hold the light. It does. And that begins with each and every one of us. So that is the beginning of January 2022. So it is.